Okay, so we have a lot to get through on this chapter. Like, there was a lot of callbacks, a lot of references to previous chapters. The time skip theory that I presented from arm caps in a previous video might actually be true after all, and there is so much going on in this chapter that it kind of makes you really think about everything that has happened in the Culling games previously. And again, JJK just writing absolute heat. So without further ado, let's just get straight into the review. The chapter opens up in a little flashback, basically, and it says turning back the time before Tsukumo's fight. And if you can't remember, inside the Culling games right now, we actually have the military invading the Culling games and the colonies to capture sorcerers for what they think they're going to be able to use as a renewable energy source, which is obviously not the case here because Kenjaku is planning on having as much cursed energy released in the colony for whatever reason to help with his merger with Tengen, basically, which we, as far as we're aware right now, is most likely going to go ahead because he's obviously beat Tsukumo. I want to call your attention to something that is happening on the first panel here. There's a little spot there that says, let's turn back time before Tsukumo's fight. Now, there's a time skip theory that I presented from arm caps in my previous video about Yuki Tsukumo's black hole actually manipulating time, basically, and sending us, like, maybe, like, a couple of days, couple of hours, couple of days, maybe into the future. If you haven't seen that video, I suggest you go and watch that video, so it will make sense. But we see soldiers entering the colonies here, and then we see Kenjaku and Urami in the Zenin clan's basement where Maki and Mai had their final encounter before Maki became the new Toji, basically. And if I'm not mistaken, the body of their father is actually still on the floor in that basement. It shouldn't surprise me because there's literally no one left of the Zenin clan to clean that shit up. It is wild to see that that's still there. So that was a little callback to obviously the Zenin massacre there. But before we see that, we see Remy being ambushed by these soldiers here, and a flashbang gets launched into the room, into the hotel room that they're staying with. And she is basically the first sorcerer down here that we see. She just gets captured almost instantly. She gets tased and tranquilized and put asleep and just yoinked out of her bed, basically. We're introduced to a few more military dudes, and they're basically like making a little competition here of who can collect the most sorcerers. Because as they're welcoming a team back, they're like, you know, good work, second place, good job, third place, blah, 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 blah. And we're introduced to this new soldier here. She does end up talking about how they got in a fight with a sorcerer and how all the other soldiers are fighting sorcerers that are basically just easy to take down, but she had the toughest time with a dude who could turn his head into a propeller. Now, cast your minds back to when Yuji first entered the colony. He was attacked by Haba and Hanyu, and the dude who could turn his head into a propeller is actually Haba. So that's the sorcerer that we see, basically. Well, we don't see him, but that's the person that this soldier has just bodied, basically, saying how much of a tough opponent he was and how much of a tough fight he was, which is completely wild. And also, I just want to make a mention that in the Jujutsu Kaisen universe, Superman exists because this soldier just referenced Krypton, which means Superman exists in Jujutsu Kaisen. So do with that information what you will, but I thought it was a cool at least read from JJK to hand in there. But we see this soldier talking about how there's different types of these Jujusu sorcerers. She completely butchers the name, which I think is quite funny. She says that there's weaklings that you've been taken captive, and then there's the monsters that we've been dealing with, and I'm sure there's others beyond that. And then it cuts to an explosion going off with Hazanoki Iori basically just bodying a small building and a car and destroying a soldier here, and he's a bit confused as to why foreign soldiers are doing this, basically attacking him, and why they're coming here. And then he starts to think on about what Remy said way back when at the beginning of the Culling games. It says you can be certain that Kenjaku will drop a bomb when only the strong remain, and then the Culling game will have served its purpose. And Hazanoki theorizes that this is what he must have meant. Now, theoretically, we don't know if this is like a literal bomb. I think we're going for the more metaphorical bomb. Like, he's dropping a bomb metaphorically on the Culling games right now, and he's trying to cause as much death and destruction as possible to create more cursed energy. Because as we learn a little bit later on now, that even regular humans who aren't from Japan release a huge amount of cursed energy when they pass away. But Kenjaku is basically dropping the military into the Culling games as insurance for if the sorcerers don't produce enough cursed energy for his merger. But we get to see Angel, Takaba, Yuji, and Megami all back on the stages again. They're all basically running from the soldiers here, and we get to see Angel saying that Kenjaku may be planning for cursed spirits to conduct a one-sided massacre of non-sorcerers, basically. And you hear someone saying why, and she says that if the cursed energy of the Culling game players isn't enough to fill the colonies, it would provide insurance, basically, which we already know, but it's nice that someone on their side's kind of figuring out Kenjaku's plan. It seems Angel's quite clued up here about what's going on, but it isn't actually Angel that's saying this, it's Angel's mouth cheek thing that's saying this. Even so, why would thousands of ordinary people enter the colony? And Takaba then says, maybe it's my fault. My popularity drives people wild, but I have to love this little screenshot of Takaba and Yuji and the way their faces are just drawn. I feel like them two are just like gonna be one of the funniest pairs of people to see in the panels and hopefully future panels, and obviously when it does eventually happen, the animation, stuff like that. But we see Yuji and Angel running into a team of soldiers and they try to flashbang them and I'm assuming tase them, tranquilize them the same way they got Remy. But Yuji's just way too sharp for this. Just turns around, boots that stun grenade away from them, and then quickly, and I want to notice, I want to pay quick attention to this, JJK draws Yuji using his hoodie basically to cover his ears to muffle the blast and the sound of either the flash and stun grenade, whatever one it is. But a team of soldiers literally runs into the building ready to open fire on them, and Megami and Takaba turn around to see this and they open fire straight away. Like, they have no concern for either of their safety. This is like, we were assuming that it was like the orders that these guys have been given here is if these sorcerers resist, kill them. If you can get them to surrender without resistance, then take them alive. But if they resist even slightly, kill them straight away type deal, as long as their brains are intact. But we get this funny little panel here of the soldiers opening fire on Megami and Takaba literally doing a little dance dodging bullets, because if you forgot about it, Takaba actually owns one of the most OP case techniques in the verse, and that's, if he finds it funny, it's gonna happen. And I wish I was making that up. That is literally his case technique, and that is completely and utterly foul for JJK to make that happen and not do more with it so far. But we see that the chapter then comes to a close with the hunt for Jujutsu sorcerers begin, and Megami, it looks like Megami is doing a hand sign here. When I first looked at it, I was like, there's no way he's about to use a domain on these dudes here, but it looks like he's probably just going to use a technique, I imagine. But he does say we'll have to directly ask the soldiers, so he's obviously going to want to capture one of these guys alive. But overall, this chapter, I'm really happy with this chapter. The time skip theory is looking more and more promising with the future going back in the past type vibe that we've gone for in this chapter here with JJK. But overall, solid chapter, solid 8 out of 10 chapter. You can definitely tell that we're definitely in the final arc now for Jujutsu. Everything is coming together nicely. If I had to estimate, I think we'll probably end Jujutsu by the time we hit chapter 300. That's my estimate here. If we go longer, obviously I would like the series to continue on longer, but my estimate is around chapter 300 because I've seen a lot of people talking about this on Twitter and wherever else past from the Jump Festa about JJK, about ending the series, and this is definitely the final arc. There's only a few more little plot holes and storylines to wrap up here for JJK to be complete with this series, and I have faith in JJK to do this. I'm not worried about the ending. I'm just kind of sad that it is coming because I feel like I've just only got into Jujutsu Kaisen myself, and now it's like slowly, quickly coming to an end. But yeah, solid chapter. Really happy with it. Let me know what you guys think about the chapter in the comments down below, and if you like the video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and all that good stuff. And I'll catch you guys all in the next one. The next video that I've got is a big one. It's a big boy juicer video, so I'm gonna need you all to juice it all up for me. But that's everything from me. I'll catch you guys all in the next one. Much love, big kisses, bye bye, peace.